we saw this lighthouse up on a pretty high hill. And of course, we wanted to go check it out and hopefully go inside. So we took that hike up. Parts of it were pretty steep. And once we got up to the top, it was closed.
We were so disappointed that we hiked all the way up there and it wasn't open and it was completely walled off. We couldn't even get up close to it. So we turned around, we started walking back down the hill, and this construction worker on this house yelled at us and waved us over and said that we should walk around to see the view from behind this house they were building. So I followed Amelia with the camera and the views were incredible.
Yeah, I am so glad we didn't turn around. It was so nice of that guy to wave us through in Albanian because the water was stunning. It was so clear. You could see all the way through to the bottom. Oh, gorgeous.
In case you haven't guessed, we're talking about Durrës Albania. It's the second largest city in Albania. It's close to Tirana, the capital. It's about 30 minutes to there, and the international airport.
It is a great getaway from the city. It's so nice to go and cool off. At least that's what the locals told us. They told us it's a really popular weekend getaway, especially during the summertime because it gets so hot in Tirana. And actually, a lot of locals told us Tirana is pretty dead in the summer because they're all out in Durres.
There's more to it than just the beach, though. If you're not really a beach person, there is a nice city in Durres, and they really done a nice job of refurbishing the downtown area. There's a nice square in the middle and with fountains. The kids love to play there. The dogs like to sleep there. It's a great place just to hang out.
The mosque is right over there too. And all around there is a lot of shopping, a lot of local stores. There's also, of course, plenty of coffee shops because coffee is really important, and plenty of other restaurants and pubs.
There's a mall down in that area as well. And we went in there and we found a store that looked like a home goods store, like a Pica in Ecuador. It felt almost exactly the same. We walked in, I said, it feels like we're back home in Ecuador.
Especially because we were out doing our scavenger hunt. We needed a coffee cup because when we checked into our Airbnb, we realized there was only one big regular coffee mug, and that would have been a crisis in the morning. Of course, they had plenty of the little tiny espresso ones, but we still like our Americanos.
Yeah, and we don't share coffee cups.
No, we do not share coffee cups. So, of course, we decided, well, let's go and try to find one, and we did.
One of the coolest things about Durres is the ruins. There are ruins right in the center of town, Roman and Byzantine. There are 1,400 to 1,800-year-old ruins in this city.
Yeah, we were just blown away by this. I knew they were there because I did the research online, but it's a lot different to walk 10 minutes from the beach and then see these incredible ruins right in town.
Yeah, there's a castle wall, but part of it is still left. Most of it, unfortunately, was destroyed about 1,000 years ago during an earthquake. But you can walk through the Roman amphitheater. We were like, we didn't even realize we could go in there to see it. We thought for sure it would be blocked off and protected, but we went inside and had the place almost entirely to ourselves. I think there was one other couple in there. We could walk around and pretend like we were gladiators.
It is unbelievable to be here in the Roman amphitheater in Durrës Albania, which I didn't even realize was here until we started doing our research. The fact that this is over 2,000 years old is just stunning to me. And especially because when JP and I thought about coming to Albania, we just thought about it as a communist country. We didn't think about the really, really old history. It was so worth the price of admission, which by the way was 300 lek per person, to see this incredible mosaics. I cannot believe how well it is preserved. I am just amazed.
And the crowds go wild.
Yes, this is the amphitheater, not the big Colosseum, which we saw in Rome.
The Byzantine Forum is not too far from there either. It was built in the late 400s, and you can walk around there too if you want to. We saw some kids playing in there around these ancient pillars.
I love seeing those columns. They just blow my mind all the time. From there, we walked up to the Durres balcony, which is a pretty steep hike, but it is well worth it because you're rewarded with beautiful panoramic views of the city and the port, which is actually one of the busiest in the Adriatic Sea.
If you can't tell, we're history junkies, which is why we talk about it a lot in our videos. If you feel the same way, let us know in the comments if you want to hear more about this stuff or if you just want us to stick to the livability angle.
Now let's talk about the beaches and the boardwalks. There are two. We went to the main one, which is closer to the port where we stayed. And there's a really nice boardwalk with some higher end shops and restaurants and a lot of beautiful sculptures. and incredible sea views and a really nice park. But the beach is pretty lacking. It's not really a true beach area.
The beach in that area really isn't that nice. It kind of reminds us of Manta in Ecuador. It's kind of narrow and rocky, and there's lots of like seaweed and stuff on it. I'm wondering if they clean that up during the summer. They must, because it's really popular, but it was completely covered with stuff from the sea while we were there.
If you want a better beach experience and you want to go to the beach south of the port, which is Durres Beach, and that's where there's a lot more hotels. There is another boardwalk there. It's a whole pedestrian area. And also, of course, they have all the beach amenities. So they'll have all the chairs set up, and there's a lot of little restaurants and areas where your kids can play. None of that was really set up when we were there, though, but that's because it was still, well, just early spring. It was still pretty chilly.
The beaches in that area were a lot wider and nicer, and it actually kind of reminded us of Olón or Salinas or Chipipe in Ecuador. So I imagine they're pretty nice and packed during the summer season. Our dentist in Tirana told us that Durres isn't really nearly as nice as some of the other beaches in the southern part of Albania along the Albanian Riviera. He told us if we're going to go to the beach, that's really where we should go.
Which we will do later in beach season.
We just shared an article on our website for one of our guest writers who is in Saranda right now, so check our website to see what he thinks about it.
And speaking of weather, it was kind of weird to be there in winter or really early spring because it was still a bit chilly. It was actually windier than I had expected and dry, which I did not expect at all. I thought it would be a little bit more humid.
Yeah, the wind was brutal on a couple of days. It was really, the trees were bent over sideways and the ships were kind of bouncing. It was bad. In the summer, it gets really hot there, and it can be in the 90s degrees Fahrenheit, which is like over 31, 32 Celsius. That's the average is 31 Celsius in the summer.
Yeah, it's weird because we were so spoiled in Ecuador and the temperatures just don't change that much. It's just odd to be in a beach location in the winter, although I know that happens all over the rest of the world.
Now let's talk about what everyone really cares about, and that's food and dining. There are lots of shops, markets around town. The grocery stores are Conad, Spar, and Extra, and they're scattered throughout the neighborhoods, but also lots of little fruterias or little produce markets in the neighborhood, so you don't have to walk very far to find food.
Yeah, we had delicious produce, which we're really happy about. However, the variety was pretty lacking. We didn't see nearly as much variety as we did see in Tirana. So if you have a specialty diet requirement or if you want gluten-free or something like that, you're probably going to struggle finding that in Durres.
We did see that the costs were pretty similar to Tirana, which is a lot less than the United States. So if you're looking to save money on your food budget, you're going to do it there, which is nice considering it is a beach town and a popular tourist area. We didn't really see high prices like we're used to seeing in tourist spots like that.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise. The other surprise was that there was not or maybe this isn't such a surprise. A lot of beach towns don't have a wide variety of restaurants, and Durres was not any different. They had the typical surf and turf, a lot of Italian and pizza, a couple Mexican places and some fast food, but not a big variety. We ended up eating salad and pizza several times.
Yeah, we didn't find an Indian restaurant, no Thai restaurant. I don't think we saw a Chinese restaurant. There might be one in town somewhere, but not a lot of variety of food, especially for us.
We did eat at the Pantheon, which was an Italian restaurant, and we loved it. It was a beautiful place with excellent service, and we really had fun chatting with our server. He was a younger guy that spoke fluent English and Albanian, of course. And then we overheard him speaking to the couple behind us in Italian. We were very impressed.
Yeah, I asked him how he learned to speak all these different languages. And he said, languages are really easy. You just have to watch television shows, movies, and listen to music, and you'll learn it super fast.
Yeah, right. It's just that easy.
It is for him, I guess. The younger people do learn faster, but he's also grew up with this, and he made it sound really easy. I wish it was that easy.
And even though we were in a pretty nice, fancy restaurant, the costs were very reasonable.
Yeah, we were really surprised by the prices there. And if you're interested in the cost of living and cost of different things in Albania, hit the subscribe button and also give this video a like so that YouTube will tell you when we share our cost of living video.
When we finally decided it was time to leave Tirana and head to the beach, JP had one requirement, and that was to have a sea view, and boy was he right. because the view was amazing.
Yeah, we loved watching the sunset every evening. We would make sure that we were there in time for that. I really enjoyed watching the ships come in and go out. We saw all kinds of them, especially the ferries that go daily from Durrës to Italy and back, and several places in Italy. So it was neat to see them. It was just so cool to be able to see the sea all of the time.
It sure was. And it was so, oh my gosh, so calming and relaxing. It reminded us a lot of our time in Manta when we lived in that condo on the beach. We used to love to watch the birds too, which we did not see a lot of seabirds. We found that a little perplexing.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you know why there are very few seabirds. We saw a couple seagulls while we were there, but not many. No pelicans, no albatross. We saw albatross in Italy while we were there, but we didn't see any in Durrës. There's lots of pigeons, but not a lot of seabirds.
We did see and hear roosters. We heard a rooster every morning at 4:20, so it really made us feel like we were back home in Ecuador.
Damn, roosters are the bane of my existence. Like half the places we've stayed in Albania, we had roosters in the morning waking us up at 4 or 5 o'clock. I cannot escape the roosters.
So is Durrës livable? I think it is. What do you think?
I think it is. It's in transition, obviously. There's a lot of old mixed in with the new, a lot of buildings that are run down and falling down, roofs falling in, but then you have really nice new buildings too, and other buildings that have been remodeled and refurbished. And unfortunately, they have a huge eyesore right in the middle of town. The tallest building is unfinished. People are living in it. The top is completely rusted. I don't know what they're going to do about that, but they need to do something with it because that's what you see when you first come in, and it's not very inviting.
There's actually a couple of eyesores, but it's also really family friendly. We saw multiple generations of people, little kids playing out by themselves. We felt extremely safe. We went out day and night, and we never felt any weirdness or heebie-jeebies.
That's the official term for safety now. We saw lots of people pushing strollers around too. People were out all time of the day and night, and we saw a lot of single women walking around. We know if we see the locals walking around at night by themselves that they know better than anyone, and they wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't safe.
There is not a lot to do there unless you're a beach person or if you just want to go to the amphitheater every day, which is cool, but it might get kind of old. There's also not a lot of expats there, so if you're looking for a big expat community, this is not going to be your place.
Not a lot of English speakers either. Most of the people we talked to in the shops and the restaurants did not speak English. They may have known a little bit. They came across as a little unfriendly to us, especially compared to Tirana, because everyone there made us feel so at home and welcome. But we met a lot more English speakers there. So we think maybe because they didn't speak English, they just were quiet and it may have come across as unfriendly.
And JP mentioned shopping. If you want to do major shopping or if you need any specialty item or healthcare, you're going to need to go to Tirana for that.
If you missed our deep dive about Tirana, then check out this video next.
The city really stunned us, and it was not at all what we expected.
After 2 months of staying there, we were actually really sad when we had to leave. So make sure to watch this video to see why.
That's all we have for this video. Leave us a like before you go, and we will see you all next time. Miru Papshim.
Papshim.